We are nearing the end of crowning state champions in Texas high school football. We have 2 rounds left. We're in the state semifinal round with Ryan Osborne. I'm Travis Brown with DWRCD.com. And last week, Allen just turned out that magic that they seem to have this season yet again, one more time.
Yeah, they stopped Trinity on 4th and inches to get the ball back and go down and kick a game-winning field goal. But the big series in that game was in the 3rd quarter. Trinity started with the ball in a 7-point lead, drove right down to the field to the Allen 5, took 6 minutes off the clock, and they had 2 penalties and an interception. 4 plays later, Allen Murray hits, I believe, Jalen Guyton for a big touchdown pass. Allen ties it, and then they, of course, win it with the field goal later in the game. It was one of those where, Allen gets in these situations, and they know how to win these games, especially when they have Kyler Murray at quarterback. They've done it 41 games in a row now. Murray is 40-0, and he's the National Player of the Year. So he is definitely you can't have mistakes like Trinity did inside the 5-yard line in the 3rd quarter and expect to beat an Allen team. That said, it was an incredible game between 2 powerhouses, and it was one of those I think we expected to see punches being thrown, not literal punches, but it was back and forth, and Allen made the plays like they have done the last 3 years.
You want to talk about a team that's battle-tested heading into the state semifinals and the finals. That's an Allen team, and they have their next game, their semifinal against another powerhouse in Dallas Skyline, who's 14-0.
Yeah, I don't care how close Allen plays these games in the playoffs. If they could get through Skyline and then win a state championship, they absolutely deserve it, because this is another top team in DFW that has the potential to beat them, like Skyline did, and like DeSoto did, and like Martin even had a chance to beat them at one point too. Now, as far as can Skyline do it, I think they beat Cedar Hill earlier in the year. That was their signature win before going into a soft district. They have they're built a lot like Cedar Hill. They have tons of weapons in the skill positions. They have a great quarterback, Carlos Strickland at wide receiver. He is one of the best in the country, really, I think. And but it's going to come down to, can they stop Kyler Murray, and what is Murray going to do? Because last week we expected he was going to run the ball like he has been in struggle passing. Well, he didn't really run the ball much, but he lit the Trinity secondary up passing the ball. So he's so multifaceted in what he could do. I think Allen's going to win. I think getting past Trinity and getting past Martin and DeSoto, this is sort of that team of destiny. Even though they have won 2 already, you start to get that feel when you watch Allen this year. It's
interesting, this Skyline-Allen matchup, because this is probably the most balanced offense that Allen will have gone up against yet. Martin, very run-based. Trinity, extremely run-based. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get Allen's defense on their heels a little bit, mixing with the run and the pass, and that should be make for a very interesting game, in a team and 2 teams that, if they get in a hole or they need to come from behind, can move the ball down the field very quickly. Dallas Skyline is always known as linebacker U. They have a stout defense, and they always produce quality linebackers. I think I'm going to go with Skyline on the upset in this one.
Okay. That's a fair pick, because I think this is a lot like the Trinity game. It is very tightly matched. It's not one of those where it's going to be an upset if Skyline does win. I think it's a toss-up in a lot of regards.
Next, we have Alito versus Tyler John Tyler.
I can't figure this Alito team out. I mean, obviously they're 13-1. They have a chance to repeat as state champions, but they fell behind at halftime last week to Canyon Randall. Then they make adjustments on defense, like they seem to have done this year, and really shut down Randall's rushing game in the second half, and the offense with Ryan Newsom and Luke Bishop at quarterback. Now, as far as Tyler, I think everyone has figured them out. They are a powerful, powerful team out of East Texas that has the tradition like Alito, and they also are coming off momentum over a huge win over McKinney North. I think you kind of have to lean towards John Tyler, but also Alito was playing for a lot. I mean, I know they won state last year, but I think this group wants to prove that they may not set the records that last year's team did, but I think they still, obviously, winning a state championship means a lot to them for a first-year coach in Steve Wood. So I'm going to go with Alito to hang on and get to the state championship again. I like Alito in this game, too. Tyler John Tyler is a very good team with some extremely good athletes, but they're kind of Trinity-esque. They run the ball, and they run the ball well. When they pass it, they keep it short. They
do little dinks and dunks to move the ball down the field. I think if Alito can get out to an early lead and a hot start and get some points on the board, it'll be a little bit more difficult for Tyler to come from behind and make up some of those points. So if Alito can get out to an early lead, I like Alito in this one. And finally, we have Cedar Hill versus Spring Westfield.
Cedar Hill coming off a huge win over Southlake Carroll. They really showed that their power and their speed was too much for Carroll to handle. Westfield, they're always a solid team out of the Houston area. They came coming off a win over Spring. They beat Dallas Skyline last year in the playoffs, so they are legitimate. They are always a contender, especially either in Division I or Division II this year. I think Cedar Hill's going to win. I think they have been there the last 2 years in the state championship. They won last year. They know how to perform in big games. They've beaten DeSoto this year. Had that one stumble against Mansfield late in the season, but since then they have looked like a team that can repeat as state champions, and I think they get to the title games next week with a win this week over Westfield.
Yeah, I think Cedar Hill's semifinal game was really last week against Southlake Carroll. No knock on the Spring Westfield team, but that Southlake Carroll team was a very good team, and I think Cedar Hill will come off that win with some good momentum with all the weapons that they have, and take down Spring Westfield for a trip to the next to another state final. No huddle. We have Temple versus Austin Vandergrift.
I'll go with Temple.
I'll go with Temple in that one as well. Graham versus Argyle.
Tough one. I got to go with Argyle, though. They're 14-0 defending state champions.
I like Nick Ralston. I'm going to go with Argyle. Salina versus Gilmer.
Gilmer 14-0. Salina's solid, but I'm going to go with Gilmer out of East Texas.
I'll go with Salina in that one. Cantillo versus Ennis.
Canutillo, the first El Paso area team to get to the fourth round ever, but Ennis is playing as well as anybody in the state, especially after a win over Timberview in the second round. I'll go with Ennis.
I like Ennis as well in that one. We have some six-man state championships. You have some interesting information on the size of some of these six-man schools.
Two things are interesting about it. Kroll, who plays May in the first game on Saturday, they won 100-50 in their semifinals. That's what you're dealing with six-man. Also, the combined enrollment of all four schools, around 250 students.
Right.
So that's about the size of a 3A school, but that's what it is for all four schools combined. So interesting dynamic with those schools playing in 85,000-seat Cowboy Stadium, AT&T Stadium this weekend.
I mean, it's almost like a Division II or III TAPS private school with the combined enrollment of all of these schools. But first, on that, we have Crowell versus May.
I'll go with Crowell.
I'll go with Crowell as well on that one. And Groom versus Throckmorton.
Throckmorton.
I'll take Throckmorton as well. We have some state championships this week. We have state semifinals in all the rest of the division, so go out and check out some of those games. Check dfwvarsity.com for the best stats and recaps, and we'll see you next week on the High School Huddle.